This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Coming up on today's show, a new report unveils what Brock Purdy could get in guaranteed money on his looming contract extension. And then also on the back half of the show, Niners head coach Kyle Shanahan opens up about the possibility of losing defensive coordinator Robert Saleh to a head coaching job at some point in the near future. It's all coming your way right now. Let's do it. And before we talk about that, let's handle some business here. I know the faithful always shows up and shows out. And on today's show, let's get to 160,000 subscribers. We're 588 people away among the faithful from getting to 160K. So let's set a record for the most subscribers picked up on a show this calendar year. Lock us in and hit that subscribe button right now for daily and year-round coverage of the San Francisco 49ers. All right, let's begin with Brock Purdy. First, I want to start off with a recap of what the 49ers brass said about Brock Purdy from the NFL owners' meetings this week in Palm Beach, Florida. You had Niners general manager John Lynch saying, "I think we will get a deal done. We're confident that we can get a contract extension finalized with our quarterback." Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, obviously a big Brock Purdy fan. He's his guy, saying, "I hope that we can get a deal done as well." And then glowing praise from the man who writes off on the checks in owner Jed York, saying, "Brock Purdy alongside Kyle Shanahan is a top 10 quarterback. When he's ready to get this deal done, we're ready to get this deal finalized. We committed to paying Purdy last year during the 2024 campaign. He's our guy." And part of the reason why we've let all of these players go in free agency, marquee former Niners, several former starters, is because we wanted to clear up cash because we know that Brock Purdy soon will get a bag. Of course, the big question with this looming Purdy contract that is going to come up at some point down the road, how much will Purdy demand on this new deal? There are important elements of this contract here. How many years will he get on that contract? How much guaranteed money will be included on that deal? What's the average annual value of Purdy's extension? When will it get done? Before OTAs here in a few weeks? Will it not get signed and finalized until training camp? Hopefully, what I want the Niners to avoid, what the Niners want to avoid as well, is contract drama, which they've dealt with in years prior with Brandon Ayuk and Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel. And you, of course, want to avoid a holdout from your quarterback because offensive players gelling, being on the same page. Offensive football requires timing, anticipation, and reps. If you're without your quarterback, that could be a disaster. And given the dark cloud that really hovered over this organization last year with Ayuk, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, and all of those new contracts, the Niners know we can't run into those same issues. Jed York also discussed the offseason and what the Niners have done and the thought process behind it. Getting rid of money because we know we want to pay Purdy. And Tim Kawakami, Niners insider for the San Francisco Standard, came out with a new piece, and he kind of put a price tag as far as what the guaranteed money could entail. Quote, "After shedding a whole bunch of money this cycle, the 49ers are still committed to paying what it takes to maintain the Purdy-Shanahan top billing. That is, if they can sign Purdy to a long-term extension in the next few months." A pretty big caveat here, since any new Purdy deal likely will involve more than $120 million in guarantees. But the 49ers leaders sure are talking like they expect a deal eventually. It makes sense that much of the cost cutting has happened in preparation of the big check due to QB1. So there you have it, $120 million potentially or more in guaranteed money. Where would that fall among the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL when it comes down to fully guaranteed money? Well, Deshaun Watson, what a disaster that contract was and has been for Cleveland. Owner Jimmy Haslam said it was a big swing and miss. $230 million in fully guaranteed money. It's still by far an NFL record. Josh Allen got $147 million in guaranteed money. Joe Burrow right behind him at $146.5. Trevor Lawrence at $142. Lamar Jackson at $135. Justin Herbert, $133.7. Dak Prescott, $129 even. And Jared Goff there at $113.6. I think that range of Purdy being more than Goff, but less than Lamar Jackson would be a great range for San Francisco so that they can continue to build around their starting quarterback in Purdy, because as we know, he does need some talent and complementary pieces around him. So with that, today's poll question is this. I want you to predict it down in the comment section right now. How much will Purdy get in guaranteed money? Will it be $120 million or more? You guess it, and you share your thoughts with me down in the comment section. As far as that Kawakami piece, he also had an interesting tidbit in there that the Niners could be punting on the 2025 season, and it won't be a Super Bowl year for the Niners this season. He said the 49ers aren't really aiming for the Super Bowl this year. Even with all of the remaining stars, that's unrealistic. They might draft perfectly, pull out a bunch of close finishes, and remain healthy enough to steal 10 or 11 wins, but they absolutely don't match up with the Eagles, Lions, or Commanders right now. It's just reality, and Kyle Shanahan, to his credit, doesn't deal in unreality. Look, couple of thoughts there. We see teams go from worst to first every year in the NFL. This is a league of parity, truly. Every year, there are teams that shock a lot of people. Nobody thought the Minnesota Vikings were going to be as good as they were in 2024. Nobody thought the Washington Commanders were going to make it to the NFC Championship game. A lot of people didn't think that the Eagles could recover from losing 6 of 7 at the end of 2023 to then win the Super Bowl, and after they started 2-2, they went 16-1. So we see shocking circumstances all the time across the NFL. And I do think that this upcoming season, the Niners can surprise a lot of people. Now, a couple of things have to happen, right? They have some talent on this team, and they have some headliners and superstars still. Brock Purdy at quarterback. Christian McCaffrey at running back has to stay healthy. We'll see what happens with Brandon Ayuk once he comes back. George Kittle is still the best all-around tight end in all of football. Trent Williams is older, but still playing at a high level at left tackle. Dominic Pooney is a really good player at right guard. Jawan Jennings is a very underrated player at wide receiver. Can Ricky Pearsall take a big leap? On defense, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Deommodore Lenoir, Malik Mustafa. Those are good building blocks. But especially on defense, there are a lot of holes for San Francisco. And they have to crush the upcoming 2025 draft because they still have so many remaining needs on this team. But I do agree, as far as winning a Super Bowl, I don't think the Niners are close. As far as surprising a lot of people and making the playoffs and winning double-digit games, I do think that with quality coaching, with star players playing like stars, with the development of some players, having an easier schedule, hitting on the draft, that could go a long way in the Niners being a playoff team. But when you look at the landscape in the NFC, the Niners are not close to the level of talent of the Philadelphia Eagles or the Detroit Lions or the Washington Commanders. I'll even throw the Minnesota Vikings, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, the Los Angeles Rams into that mix as well. But the Niners can automatically make some positive strides and flush that 6-11 season last year with better coaching. Kyle Shanahan coaching to his level of talent. Robert Saleh improving the defense. Brant Boyer improving what was last year the worst special teams unit in the NFL. If the Niners can stay healthy, that will go a long way in them having a rebound season. Better quarterback play from Brock Purdy, drafting well. All of these factors can realistically happen. But I would be surprised if the Niners are Super Bowl contenders. A lot would have to go right because they're going to be asking on a lot of rookies to not just be starters, but high-level starters. Niners draft hats, by the way, and speaking of the draft and the importance of the Niners hitting on it, are available. Thanks to our friends at Fanatics at chatsports.com/49drafthats. You plug in that link down below, it takes you to Fanatics, and you too can get the same hat or hats that the Niners draftees will be wearing once they're selected by San Francisco. Couple of premium picks for the Niners coming up at the end of April, 11 overall, 43rd overall, and if they can hit on those draft picks, they're set up for this year and in the future. Again, chatsports.com/49 draft hats. I love the style this year. See it for yourself. Get one for yourself by plugging in that link. All right, let's round out with this. Kyle Shanahan knows the reality that Robert Saleh is one of the top defensive coaches in the NFL. And if he puts this Niners defense back on track in 2025, where there's more scheme continuity and players perform, if we see a lot of player development instances happen, if Robert Saleh puts players in a position to succeed, if the Niners have team success and we see some of these players take big leaps or rebound from last year like a Jair Brown, that Robert Saleh is going to be in the mix to land a head coaching job in 2026, perhaps in 2027. And here's what Kyle Shanahan had to say about that from the NFL owners' meetings this week. You understand that's his ultimate goal, and that is for almost every coach. So if he had a hell of a year and we lost Saleh to another team, I'd be happy for him. Disappointed for us. But I think that would mean that we were doing some pretty good things too. So that's something you've got to be prepared for in this league. We are set on offense. We are in defense. You've got to be on special teams, and it's something everybody has got to deal with. And look, I think that Robert Saleh can do wonders for this defense. Last year, there was bad communication. There were scheme breakdowns. They were awful on third downs. They were awful in the red zone. You saw a player like Jair Brown perform well as a rookie, and then he really struggled last year. You saw a lack of player development. You saw San Francisco really struggle against the run. You saw them be inconsistent in rushing after the quarterback. You saw a lack of energy from that unit, both on the field and on the sideline. The leadership of Saleh, the chops of Saleh as a coach, the energy on the sideline, his ability to pull the best out of players on that roster. I think it's going to go a long way in seeing this Niners defense really turn it around from last year and really over the last couple of years since DeMeco Ryans left. And when we were at the NFL Combine, I asked John Lynch about the importance of bringing back Saleh, how pumped up they are. Just look at his face light up when he's talking about Saleh returning to San Francisco.
It's awesome to have Saleh back. Felt like he never left, to be honest. You get very close with folks when you work with them as much as we do. And Saleh brought a great deal when he was last here. I think he's even better now with the experiences he's had. And it's a welcome sight to have him back. The energy that he brings, the expertise that he brings, the leadership he brings. We're very happy to have Robert and his growing family. That has grown quite a bit since Lee last left. I think number 8 on the way, and happy for Sanaa and Robert. And we love their family. We love what Robert brings. And I remember meeting with him in my backyard when Kyle asked me, hey, I want you to interview this guy. I think he'd be a great DC for us. And he had me from that moment on.
And I know fans too are pumped up about Saleh coming back to the Bay. What a beautiful bald head he has too, by the way. What will the Niners record be in 2025? Join the conversation down in the comment section. Thanks as always for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be live a little bit later.